Working from home really has its perks. I can get up at 9:30, have a leisurely breakfast, and procrastinate working until sometime after 10. I usually take a long lunch and wrap things up around 4 at the latest. I don't work in my pajamas or my birthday suit, but I suppose I could if I wanted to. Weird flex, but true. The other nice thing about working from home was that when I saw an ad for a house a few hours away from my apartment, marked down to a fraction of the cost of a normal home, I was able to jump on the offer. And I did. Honestly, I'd never thought I would be able to afford a house. I had given up on that dream at least a decade ago. The prices were too high, and I was scared of becoming house poor or defaulting on a mortgage. But this place was like some relic from a 90s real estate listing. The number it was listed for made 0 sense. Was it haunted? Possessed? Built on an abandoned ancient burial ground? Who cares? I decided. I couldn't afford to be picky in this economy. If I happened to move into a house with a ghost or a poltergeist, I would just learn to live with it. And it would have to learn to live with me. Of course, the truth turned out to be a hell of a lot worse. I put in an offer which was quickly accepted, without any negotiation. A relief, since I was worried the low price was just meant to lure in buyers, forcing them to outbid each other. Such things were common enough these days. Apparently, no one else except me was brilliant enough to make an offer on the place. After all the paperwork was done, I received a move-in date. Then I was booking a moving truck and calling insurance companies, setting up accounts for water, cable, and electricity. I invited my girlfriend to come with me, since she had been living at home with her parents, and we'd been getting pretty serious. She said yes, and before I knew it, we were standing in front of our new house in the tiny, unheard-of town called Hollow's End. We hadn't seen much of the town itself yet, since this new subdivision, named Shady Elms Estates, was on the outskirts. On our street, Elm Street, there were a handful of other homes which looked nearly identical to ours. And it appeared there was construction planned for a lot more of them, judging by the empty space which had been cleared out around the place. Despite the construction nearby, Elm Street itself, where we lived, was idyllic. Our small street was lined with neatly kept houses, each of which had a garden, a perfectly manicured lawn, and identical window coverings. Washed and polished sedans were parked in the driveways of each home, and were even parked at a matching 45-degree angle. Timed sprinklers kept the lawns bright green, as they were being consistently watered. Wow, I said to my girlfriend Holly. This place is intense. It's like they all had a frickin' meeting to decide which car to drive, which lawnmower to buy. We were standing in our driveway, admiring our new home, and it was hard not to compare it to the others. Our house stood out like a bloody smear on a clean white shirt. Yeah, good luck keeping up with these Joneses. Got some work to do. Why bother? Who really cares? We don't want our place to look like everybody else's, do we? Ahem. Someone cleared their throat behind us, startling us both. We spun around to see a man and a woman, professionally dressed and both with identical toothy smiles. The woman was holding a clipboard and a pen, while the man held a bottle of wine. Not a hair was out of place on either of their heads, like they had spent an hour in front of the mirror fixing every imperfection. "Welcome to the neighborhood," the man said, handing me the bottle. I took it, my heart beating fast from the surprise of seeing them. It was like they had just appeared out of thin air, and I couldn't help but replay what I just said, wondering if they'd heard it. "We're the Ashfords. I'm Greg, this is Barbara. We wanted to welcome you both to the neighborhood." "Oh, hi. Thanks. I'm Parker. This is my girlfriend, Holly." "Hey," she said timidly from beside me. "Nice to meet you. You're our neighbors? We'll have to have you over for a game night or something." I could tell she was just being polite, and I was kind of hoping they wouldn't agree. These two were creeping me out. I couldn't tell if it was their smiles or their appearance out of nowhere, or a combination of things. But I didn't trust them, and I didn't want them in our house. "That sounds lovely," Greg replied, and I couldn't help but feel a ball of dread growing in my stomach. His head snapped to look at me, as if sensing my thoughts. "Assuming it's okay with your husband." "Of course, we'd love to have you," I heard myself say. "Perfect. It's a date," Barbara said, stepping forward. "Now, on to more important matters. We have a homeowners association here in Shady Elms Estates. I'm assuming you have received your copy of the rules?" "No, I haven't seen anything," I began to say. And then both of our phones dinged at once. "Here's a physical copy for further reference." She handed me a pamphlet. "And those alerts will be the digitals. We look forward to having you as neighbors here in the Shady Elms Estates community. And to game night." She stood there, smiling at us broadly with a vacant look on her face, for several long seconds. Her head tilted questioningly. Without a response, she turned on her heel and left with her husband. Once they were gone, Holly looked at me, stunned. "The fuck was that?" "Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Please tell me we don't have to have those people over for game night." "Nope. I think their invitation is going to get lost in the mail." I looked down at the pamphlet in my hand. It showed a smiling family standing beneath an elm tree. A bluebird sat in the branches of the tree, and a squirrel chewed on an acorn. A sunny sky above reflected a hint of rainbow, faintly visible against a vivid blue. But just behind the family, the elm tree they were standing in front of had a gaping hole in it. The darkness of that hole was hard to look at, and made me scared for them somehow. Even though it was a promotional picture meant to look fun and carefree, even though their smiles were wide and showing gleaming white teeth, I was worried for that family. Worried that the darkness inside that hole was going to swallow them up like a giant mouth. "This is a prank, right?" Holly was saying, as she opened the pamphlet and began to read out loud. We were back inside the house now, in the living room, surrounded by boxes. "What does it say?" I asked, not really wanting to know. That iron weight of dread in my gut had turned into a cannonball. "Rules for living in Shady Elms community. Number 1. All window coverings must be horizontal blinds in a neutral beige shade. Number 2. No alcoholic beverages are permitted on the roadways or park areas. Rule number 3. No loud music after 10 p.m. or after 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday." Okay, that's not so bad. I mean, it's a little silly, but I've heard it worse. It keeps going. Oh. Okay, what else is there? Rule number 4. The pool area is closed between the hours of 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. daily. Do not enter the pool area for any reason during these times. Cleaning, maybe. Or lunchtime for the lifeguard, I said, unpacking a box and only half listening now. That makes sense. Is that it? No, there's a lot more. Oh, alright. Do you mind if I do this while you're reading? She didn't answer. Instead, her eyes were traveling over the page faster and faster, zipping left to right as she skipped ahead, going down the list. What the hell? Rule number 8. Every second Tuesday there will be a community gathering at 3 a.m. on Elm Street. All residents within the HOA must attend. Attendance is mandatory. 3 a.m.? That's ridiculous. Rule number 9. All lights must be extinguished before midnight each night, and should remain off until 4 a.m.? All must be black for his return? I dropped what I was doing and walked over to look at the list of rules with her. What, is it like a gag list at the end? I asked, furrowing my brow as I looked at the list of rules in its tiny print. Each entry was stranger than the last. Rule number 10. Fertilizers and pest control methods are prohibited in the Shady Elms Estates community. Dark, abyssal holes found within your lawn should be nurtured? Cover with shade to encourage further growth. These are getting ridiculous. No wonder those guys couldn't stop smiling. They're probably awake all night typing this shit up. Holly didn't look so sure. I don't know. What if it isn't a prank? What if it's for real and they're like... She pointed to her ear with a spinning finger. I thought about this for a few seconds. No way. They couldn't be. They run the HOA for... All set, a voice said from behind us. I jumped, having completely forgotten the cable guy was in the house. Fuck, you scared me, I said, my heart thumping. Holly had been dealing with the guy mostly. I had only seen him for a few minutes. Sorry, Jerome, she said, walking over to him, still holding the pamphlet. We're kind of on edge right now. Oh, I get it. Moving's tough. But I think you'll really like the town. This place is something special. That's good to hear. We weren't really sure based on the price of this place. He didn't say anything, and his face remained neutral. I tried a different approach. Hey, just out of curiosity, have you heard anything about this area? Shady Elms Estates? We just saw the local HOA representatives, and to be honest, they kind of freaked us out. This place? Well, I haven't heard much about it, to be honest. This whole subdivision kind of popped up overnight. But prefab homes are like that sometimes. There was some debate over whether it was even on the map as part of Hollow's End. But the archivist looked into it and said it was, after doing some research. To be honest, the town's been having other problems, so we've had different things on our minds. What's got you spooked about this place? It seems nice enough to me. It's even got a pool. These rules. There's a whole list of them. They're weird as hell. Well, sure. Every HOA has their weird rules. The two of us didn't say anything, instead glancing at the brochure. After several long seconds, I opened my mouth to say something, but closed it again. I felt like I'd sound crazy if I explained how it seemed. Can I take a look at that? Jerome asked, reaching for the pamphlet. He began to study it, his eyes growing wide. Would it be alright if I took a picture of this? He asked. I'd like to get someone's opinion on it. It's a joke, right? I asked. It has to be. Could be, he said, pulling out his phone. But in this town, it's always good to play it safe. We stayed up late that night studying the rules. Jerome told us they might be important. He said other things, too. Things which made us wonder about moving here. Things that made us wonder about him. Was everybody in town playing a prank on the newcomers? But despite how far-fetched it all was, he seemed genuine. And I'm pretty good at being able to tell when someone is lying to me. Jerome didn't give me that impression at all. He also gave us his business card, and the cell phone number of the local sheriff, just in case. He told us not to worry too much. It probably was just a joke. Still, he was going to look into it further. But then things started happening fast. And now, I'm not sure if we're ever going to see Jerome the cable guy again. Or anyone else, for that matter. The rules range from the peculiar to the pedantic, all the way to the perplexing. Parking the car at the correct 45-degree angle, for instance. Just as I'd suspected, it was another one of the rules. Number 5, to be specific. I went outside to correct this, but Holly wanted to leave it be. We can't just play along with this. It's crazy. Everyone on the street will be mocking us for believing this stupid prank. We'll be the laughingstock of the next HOA meeting. I'd rather be safe than sorry. And you heard all that stuff Jerome said. He's probably just messing with us too. Maybe he lives around here. I don't think so. It was the first real contention we'd ever had between us. I wouldn't have called it a fight, but we definitely didn't agree. I took the keys and went outside to move the car, putting it back in the driveway so that it was angled towards the front door at 45 degrees. When I stepped out of the car, I noticed several people watching me, from front lawns, windows, and passing vehicles. All of them were smiling as if they'd never been happier, but with dead, vacant eyes. I couldn't help but notice how they were all nodding, as if to reinforce the fact that I was right to move my car. To park it correctly. I went back inside and told Holly what I'd seen, and reinforced that we should really just follow the rules for now until we found out more. She sounded annoyed by the whole thing, but agreed to go along with it. I wish I could have blamed her for breaking the rules, since she obviously thought the whole thing was so ridiculous. But it turned out to be me who made the first mistake, and it didn't even take 24 hours. That first night in the house, I got up just after 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom. Without even thinking about it, I turned on the light. Half asleep, I did my business, then turned on the faucet to wash my hands. The tap did nothing. It just sat there uselessly. I turned the knob further, and further. After several moments standing there in the washroom, staring at the sink, the tap began to spit. It reminded me of what happens after a water shutoff. How the water coughs up out of the faucet and erupts violently from it after a few seconds of nothing but air. But instead of water, something like tar came bursting out of the tap. Some of it got on my clothes and on the shower curtain, as well as on the ceiling. Thankfully, none of it got on my skin. My heart beat pounding. I rushed to turn off the faucet. I turned the taps and waited for the sludgy stuff to stop pouring out. But it didn't. It just continued pouring out, more and more of the stuff, until the sink was almost overflowing. Thinking quickly, I opened the doors beneath the sink and looked for the water shutoff valve. I turned it to the right, hoping this would work. More of the black liquid was spilling onto my clothes, and I could have sworn I felt it moving, squirming like an inchworm, as if something were crawling across my back. The faucet stopped suddenly, and I pulled off my shirt and threw it into the trash can next to the sink. Nothing was moving on it, I realized, looking closer. It had just been my panicked mind imagining things. Still, I closed up the garbage bag and put on some yellow cleaning gloves from the kitchen before cleaning up the mess in the bathroom. The black sludge was splashed everywhere, and I spent at least half an hour cleaning it up, trying to get every last bit of it. Eventually, it all drained down the sink, and I cleaned that too, using bleach spray until my head was spinning from the fumes. I went to bed thinking I'd gotten it all, but I was tired, and I wasn't thorough enough. Not even close. "What the hell is this black stuff on the shower curtain?" Holly called out to me the next morning. "It's all sticky." My heart started beating faster when I realized what she was referring to. I put on my pants quickly and ran over to the bathroom, where she was standing with the door open. "Don't touch it," I said, a little too harshly. She looked at me with confusion, then washed her hands. "What the hell is it?" she asked, looking back and forth from me to the shower curtain, which had several large blotches on it. They were that same black sludgy color from earlier that morning. I must have missed a few spots, but no way were they that large. I would have seen them. "I'm not sure. I turned on the tap last night and there was all this black sludge that came out." "Oh, great. So we got plumbing issues already?" "No, I don't think that's it," I said, uneasy. Everything about this felt off, like we were building up to something very bad happening. I tried to put my thoughts into words, but couldn't. Still, I tried as best as I could. "I broke one of the rules," I said, realizing it for myself now for the first time. "I turned on the bathroom light after midnight. That's one of the rules. No lights on after midnight, right?" She rolled her eyes, laughing. "Come on, just hear me out, okay? Look at those black spots and tell me there's not something wrong with them. And that black sludge wouldn't stop pouring out even after I turned the taps off. It's weird. The whole thing is fuzzy now. Like a bad dream or something. I spent half an hour cleaning up and nearly flooded the bathroom with that stuff. I should have told you first thing this morning, but it was like the memory just slipped away. Like a nightmare. She was still laughing, until she realized the black sludge on her finger wouldn't wash away. What's going on? She asked, panicking, scrubbing harder and harder with every kind of soap and cleaning product she could find. Why isn't it coming off? Why isn't it coming off? Because it's taken root now, Jerome said on the phone, when I called him and explained the situation. We know a little bit about the dark spots, but not enough. So far, they've mostly appeared on people's lawns, like small sinkholes. Except they're not. What do we do? I asked him. They're on the ceiling, too. And the shower curtain? I washed the rest down the drain, but it's possible I got some on myself and didn't realize it. If that's the case, then you will realize it soon enough. The spots will grow. Unless we can stop him. Stop who? What is all this? What the hell have we gotten ourselves into moving here? I don't know much, but our best people are on it. Best people? What the hell is this? What is this town? A CIA front? And who is this him you keep talking about? Saying his name will not help anything. It will only make it worse, and accelerate the process. The important thing right now is that you do not break any more of their rules. He is in control of that place. It's like an enemy camp, set up at the outskirts of our fortress's domain. If you want to help, keep me up to date with everything that's happening. And once he gets taken down, both of your lives should go back to normal. You're asking for a lot of trust here. My girlfriend's life could be at stake, and I have no idea if what you're saying is even true. You don't have any other option. Not a good one, anyways. Trust me, the alternative is a lot worse than working with us. If you want to live, I need you to help me. Give me information. And in return, I'll do everything I can to keep you safe until the job is done. But you need to follow those rules to the letter. No more slip-ups. Fine, I'll trust you. But whatever the hell you guys are doing, you better do it fast. We wouldn't do it any other way. By the next day, Holly was acting like a different person. She was wearing a pair of jet black gloves she'd gotten somewhere, and when I asked to look at the black spot on her hand, she refused. She walked out of the house without another word, and I didn't see her again for the rest of the day. When I called her cell phone, it was like she had just turned it off. And the black spots in the bathroom were once again bigger. They'd started off as small specks, too tiny for my eyes to notice. But now they were the size of a fist, and they almost seemed to shimmer and reflect the light like patches of oil. Sometimes, out of the corner of my eye, it seemed like they were moving, reaching out for me like living tendrils. But it wasn't like there was any other bathroom in the house, so I was stuck walking past them each time, and keeping a close eye on them. This seemed to be even worse, though, since I found myself missing time when I looked at those spots for too long. As if I'd been standing there staring at the stains for hours, watching them get bigger, defying common sense. Someone slipped a flyer underneath my front door, knocking twice and breaking me from that trance once again. The tap was still running from when I'd been washing my hands, and I'd been staring through the mirror at the dark spot on the shower curtain for a while. I checked my phone and saw that nearly an hour had passed since I'd entered that room, and my hands were pruny and shriveled from the water. Drying them off with a towel, I walked up to the front door. Whoever had knocked was gone, but they had left a flyer behind. Bi-weekly Shady Elms Estates community meeting, tomorrow morning at 3 a.m. sharp. All are required to attend. Snacks and beverages will be provided courtesy of your friendly neighborhood HOA. A large smiley face was at the bottom of the page, punctuating it all. For the first time, I was 100% convinced that something horrible and supernatural was happening here. This town, Hollow's End, was different from other places. The barriers between worlds here are flimsy and thin. Things from the other side come through sometimes, and all we can do is try to survive. Make peace with those things or kill them. Jerome's words rang in my mind. The crazy things he'd said when I moved here, all of them had turned out to be true, which meant that Holly was in very real trouble. She'd been infected by that darkness from another world. It's taken root, Jerome had said, and now it was doing something to her, changing her. I decided that I would definitely be going to that meeting. I didn't want to break any of the rules, after all, and I had a very strong feeling that Holly would be there. There was a bit of time, and I planned to be prepared. I began making phone calls and getting supplies ready, unsure if any of it would help. That night, around 2:30 a.m., I tried calling Holly again. There was still nothing. Only that same voicemail message after one ring. Even her parents and friends said they hadn't heard from her when I called to ask. I told them she'd gone out to run errands and hadn't come back. I didn't want to worry them, and I knew that telling them the truth wouldn't help anything. They would just think I had lost my mind. I called the local sheriff, and the phone was answered by what sounded like an 80-year-old woman named Muriel. She told me that the sheriff was tied up, but that he was aware of the situation. Apparently he, the deputy, and the entire police force were working on it, whatever that meant. So you're saying if there was an emergency right now, like if I was getting murdered, the sheriff's office's official stance would be, we're a little tied up right now? Are you being murdered, sir? Well, no, that's not the point. My girlfriend is missing, and the sheriff is aware of the situation. He's working on it, as are all of our auxiliary deputies. We might need to hire some more people again, she said, more to herself than to me. Is there anything else I can help you with? Or will that be all? I didn't have anything else to say and hung up the phone. Despite it being impossible, I still heard the woman's voice through the dead receiver, saying, "Rude." But then she was gone. What the hell is wrong with this town? I screamed to no one in particular. I didn't get an answer. Instead, I got ready for the community meeting. The street was eerily dark and silent as I walked toward the crowd of people. They were standing in front of a house, leaving muddy footprints in the grass. Greasy hands left smears and smudges all over the car in the driveway, which, I noticed, was not quite parked at the required 45-degree angle. It was slightly askew, but not all the way. A man in a dark robe was standing in front of the crowd, and I recognized him as the man who I'd met in my driveway the day we'd moved in, Mr. Ashford. He looked different now, his face shrouded in shadow, speaking in dark tones to the crowd assembled here. In direct violation of Rule 5, as plainly seen by all of you here today. With certainty, we must pledge their souls to the Hidden One, the Shadow of Time, and the Keeper of the Hollow. Grothrock, take this couple, our chosen sacrifice to you, and let them sate your hunger for a little while longer. The assembled crowd began to cluck their tongues, making a strange clicking noise which echoed throughout the neighborhood. I stayed silent, hanging back in the shadows and pulling my hood over my face. There was a loud noise, a deep rumbling, and the ground beneath my feet started to shake violently. Car alarms went off, and people in the crowd struggled to regain their footing, but no one seemed surprised. Inside the house, lights were flickering on and off, and I heard voices screaming. A man and a woman. People who had just moved here, like Holly and I, and were now subjected to the rules and the consequences of breaking them. From where I stood, I could see objects in the house being tossed around and spun, as if there were a giant vortex forming on the floor of the living room. My eyes had adjusted to the darkness better than I thought possible, and I could see it all in horrifying detail. After this thundering noise had gone on for several minutes, as well as the pair screaming and calling for help from inside, the noise stopped. Mr. Ashford calmly walked up to the front door, pulled out a key from his pocket, and unlocked it. What the fuck? Why does he have a key to this house? He doesn't live here. Which begged the question, did he have a key to my house too? Was he in my house while I was sleeping? Watching us? But that concern was gone with a larger worry as he opened the door. Inside the house was darkness. Darkness which was so empty and complete, it reminded me of the spots in the bathroom, and I found myself staring at it. For a long time, I stood there and didn't even realize it. There were dreams and nightmares that I don't remember, and it was almost like a lifetime passed while I stood rooted to that spot. I came back to my senses at some point, hearing a hammering sound. The soft tapping of a mallet against the top of a wooden post. The smiling face of a realtor stared back at me from the sign being put up on the lawn of that house on Elm Street. The house we'd seen which was destroyed from the inside the night prior. Looking into it now, I saw it was filled with furniture again, pristine and sparkling like new. It was daytime, I realized, blinking my eyes. I pulled out my phone and looked at the time. It was 12:30 p.m. Holly. My mind went immediately to my girlfriend. I hoped maybe she was back at home, or that she had left a note or something. I had really wanted to see her at the meeting, but things had devolved so quickly. I began walking home, making my way down the street past identical houses, each one with perfectly manicured lawns, matching window blinds, and sparkling clean cars parked at exactly 45 degrees. The neighborhood pool was coming up on the left, and I saw a small crowd of people inside the fenced area. They looked like they were having brunch. I walked over towards the crowd, feeling drawn to them for some reason. One of the figures looked familiar, even from behind, even though her hair was black now, and her clothes were dark. Holly had always worn bright colors. Even those black gloves had been strange to see on her. She turned to look at me when I got closer, and smiled. Her black lipstick and dress made her look like she was attending a funeral. "So good to see you," she said, making her way over to me. I was so happy to see that she was alright, it caught me off guard. And when she kissed me, I felt myself thinking that maybe, just maybe, it had all been a nightmare. Maybe I had dreamt it all, and was finally coming back to reality. But then something squirmed against my lips, and I realized it was the nightmare that was reality after all. She pulled away, still smiling as I backed up. Trembling, I reached up to feel my face, and the squirming thing which wriggled away from my hand, up towards my ear. My wife's smile grew wider as I backed away, and then she turned, and went back to the group she'd been sitting with. A banner fluttered from their table in the wind, reading, HOA Committee, Silence, Meeting in Progress. I ran home, hoping to get to a mirror. Whatever that squirming thing was, I needed to get it off of me. But if I couldn't see it, it was difficult. I ended up in the bathroom, staring at my own reflection in the mirror. And as I looked at myself, I realized it was too late. The thing had squirmed and wriggled into my ear, towards my gray matter. And without even feeling it, that thing had invaded my mind. I could already feel it taking over, its darkness spreading. The blackness of my pupils had spread to the irises, to the sclera. My eyes were as black as an oil spill, black as coal at the bottom of a mine shaft. Darker even, for nothing reflected back. There was no glint of light to indicate a soul or a spark of life. and I wondered if that meant I no longer had one. I found myself staring at my own reflection for a long time. When I came to, the black spots in the bathroom were gone. Now, it was all the shade of midnight. The entire room was a black, empty void. Even the mirror was gone. I still have my phone, so I can still share this with you all, despite the fact that I'm stuck here, stranded in this abyss. I can't see much. Even with my hand a few inches from my face, with my phone's flashlight on full blast, I can barely see my own skin. But I can hear very well. This place is empty and barren, and the slightest sound echoes on forever. So I can hear it coming. There's something moving in the distance, getting closer. Something huge and hungry, ancient and awful. I'm not sure how much longer I have, so I'll wrap this up here. I'll warn you now while there's still time. If you see a deal for a house that looks too good to be true, in a beautiful new community, just on the outskirts of Hollow's End, don't take the offer. Don't make the same mistake I did. Sometimes, if something looks like it's too good to be true, it is. And sometimes, even people who play by the rules get busted. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow, and see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.